Hello everyone, and here I am with another poem for you. And if you look at the kind of release dates of my poems, a lot of my poems have been short, particularly in conjunction with me releasing sort of the YouTube short section of this sort of YouTube vloggy video thing. So what I've got for you today is a long poem, and boy is it long. Well, actually it was so long that I've split into 4 separate parts. And it's basically very much Pokemon related. I really enjoy Pokemon. I like playing it with my son. My daughter quite likes it as well. Hey, I might be a grown man, but you can still like these things. So in honour of that, I've got my cool Puma styly Pikachu t-shirt on. So onto the poem. So the poem is basically, I was getting a bit fed up of writing quick poems. I think with YouTube shorts and lots of things coming into my head, I was writing a lot of quick poems. So I wanted something a little bit longer. So I got this strange idea. I was playing Pokemon Violet at the time. So was my son, and we were talking about it a lot. He was talking at me about it a lot. And I thought, why don't I write a poem with some Pokemon names in, see if I can do something like that. So I started writing a few lines, and they were quite cool and quite fun. A few sort of punny sort of lines, which I love a good pun. And then I started to put those together. And as I put those together, I realised that I could make like an adventure story. But then there were large bits connecting them which didn't quite fit with the Pokemon names, and therefore it wasn't as much Pokemon related as I wanted. So I started to look online for anything Pokemon related, particularly Moos. I thought I could slip those in as well. So I've got this poem, but it was so long I've had to slip it into 4 pieces. Or 4 separate little poems. Each poem's title is one of the original, or has the colour of each of the original Pokemon games. That's green and red, which were released in Japan, and then obviously red was released in the UK and the rest of the world, along with blue, and then finally yellow, the Pikachu special edition version. I'm gonna warn you now, I don't think the poem's that great. It's not my best writing, but it's all about a challenge of slipping things in. Now, as I'm reading it, hopefully you can pick up, if you know Pokemon, the Pokemon words. If not, obviously there's links below to my poetry collection on Wattpad called Bad Poetry You Probably Never Want to Read. Now in there and on my blog, the Pokemon related words are in bold, so you can see how many there are. There are bits where there's not many, like 3 or 4 lines and there's not any, and then there are other bits where there's lots. But it tells a story. Now, because I put the Pokemon words in there and I've done it first person, I don't think it's the best poem ever. In fact, I don't think it's that great. But if you are a Pokemon fan, hopefully you will get the joy from those Pokemon words. So, without further ado, I shall read the first part of my 4-part Pokemon adventure poem called A Pokeadventure. And part 1 is Journey Through the Green Forest. We sat around the campfire, so close we thought we might burn up. We had met this group earlier in the day. They told us they had a tale to tell, a tale of treasure. I sat next to my friend Alana, but we called her Misty. The group cooked in a large pot. I'm a bit of an odour sleuth, so from the smell could tell it was curry. Needs a bit more flavour, Benny said. He turned to me. Can you pop in another bay leaf? I did as he said. Then as we watched the pot bubble, he started his tale. There's talk of a special treasure. Out past Pallet Town, just to the north, is a bridge that crosses a gorge. Over the bridge lies Eterna Forest. It is said a beast hunts in the forest, but if you can pass it, there are riches galore. Gold, silver, diamonds, pearls, sapphires and rubies. We had a map, but it was very inky, and when it rained, the lines ran so you could not make out any location. With that, he finished his story and we tucked into the curry. It was rather hot as they had used some sort of spicy extract in it. In fact, it was so spicy that we even saw Benji gulping down a drink to soothe his throat. After eating, we started to feel drowsy, so lay down. The floor was hard, but I was comfy enough. I looked up into the night sky. There hung a large red ball. It was clearly a blood moon. With a great yawn, I fell into a deep sleep, but had bad dreams of small monsters and long journeys. The next day, we left our newfound friends. They'd been kind enough to give us a healthy elixir to drink, as well as making sandwiches for the journey. Not even complaining when Misty told them she did not eat dairy and would like hers butter-free. With lunch sorted, we walked the road to Pallet Town, getting to our destination with little incident. Passing into town, we saw an array of shops, but what caught our eyes was a twitching curtain. "He's looking out for newcomers," a female voice said. "Who is?" we asked, turning round. "Old Larry. He has special wares to sell, but I would watch out if I were you. I'm pretty sure they are not magical as he says. He will peek at you, so see what you're doing until he's ready to strike. And watch out for that kid," she pointed to a sweet-looking boy. "He seems cute, especially when he tries to mimic you. But all he is doing is trying to get close, to find out what you have of value so he can nick it. You would not believe the sorts of things he will steal." We thanked her for her advice and made our way to gather supplies. We only made it a few steps before old Larry appeared in front of us. I gave him a mean look, but the man shook his head. "That lady has been warning you off me. She always tells people to beware. But I have lived a long time in this world and know of many treasures. I could share the knowledge of my ultimate journeys and broaden your horizons." "We know about the forest and the beast jewels," Misty said. "We won't need any other treasure." "You talk of the beast. Yes, that is true. But there is something more fascinating in the forest. A huge house abandoned long ago with a special figurine in it. A figurine that can give you the power to read others' minds." "We don't need your lies or your magical goods, old man," Misty replied. "Maybe you don't, but if you pass the house, then take a look inside." He handed me a small instrument. "Give this flute a wicked blow, and the figurine will awaken and grant you power." I was about to hand it back to old Larry. Hand it back when old Larry seemed to suddenly disappear. "I suppose we could visit the house," Misty said. With that, we headed to get more supplies, finding a great sandwich shop called Every Which Way. With the sandwiches from our friends at the camp and more in our pack from the shop, we headed out of the city. As we walked down the dusty road, the sun beat down on us, a great ball in the sky. After a quick stop to quench our thirst, we continued on our way. About half an hour later, we came to an old stone bridge with statues either side. They had been carved into simple figures. I did not know what they were, but Misty said they were golems. In front of the bridge stood a guard. As we approached, he pointed his spear at us. "I am Anders, who guards the crossing to the forest. None shall pass while I am standing here." "How will we get through?" I asked. "We need to charm Anders," Misty said. "Have we got anything to do it with?" I rummaged around in my backpack. There was a drink, some sandwiches, and an apple in there. They would not do. The only thing I could find that might work was about a bag of candy. With a shrug, I held them out to Anders. He scowled at me, showing they would not be enough. As I was about to take them away, I saw him sniff. He breathed in the sweet scent coming from the bag. "Wait," Anders said. "Are these peach berries from Kalos?" I nodded. Anders continued. "These are rare candies indeed. Maybe I'll take a couple and let you past. But I cannot be held responsible for what happens in that forest." He delved his hand in, making the bag crinkle. When he pulled his fist free, there were 4 small candies inside and 1 XL candy. I was a little annoyed, but in truth it was a small price to pay for access to the bridge. At least we had found Anders' weakness and could continue the adventure. Before Anders could change his mind, we marched towards the bridge. On the way across, we saw the power of the rushing water flowing over a rock or two and taking sticks and leaves downstream. The glowing sun shone off the surface, making the whole river look shiny. It did not take long to cross the bridge, and soon we walked under a canopy of dense foliage. "Which route do we take now?" Misty asked. The path split in two, and she pointed to each, one at a time. "Route 1 or Route 2, she asked. "Well, if in doubt, go right, I suppose," I said. I barely finished the sentence when Misty turned and headed down the path. A few seconds later, the trees grew closer together. As the canopy of the forest closed overhead, the gloom descended. The darkness meant we could see little, but we knew we headed upwards. Suddenly I slipped, rolling down a hill, breaking through branches. Only a muddy puddle stopped me. I was covered in muck and had a bramble in my arm. "Are you okay?" Misty called from above. Without checking, I automatically replied, "Yeah, nothing broken." It was then I heard the growl. Coming from the bushes, I saw some orange-like cats. I knew I needed to run away, but as I went to move, I realised my foot was stuck in thick mud. Now I needed Misty more than ever. I needed her to dig my foot out. As the animals crept closer, I could feel my heart pound away in my chest. Then something crashed through the undergrowth next to me. It stood there for a second, then made an almighty screech. And there we go. That is part 1 of my Pokeadventure. Obviously, there are some really clear sort of Pokemon references, but hopefully you've picked some others up. And like I say, if you haven't, or if you don't know about Pokemon or you want to check, have a look in the links below, which takes you to my poetry collection on Wattpad. Bad poetry you probably never want to read. I'm going to then now release some more short poems, okay, amongst editing of my novels. So a couple of short poems, and then I will get you part 2, which is, it's already written. Part 2, 3 and 4 are already done. So I will be releasing them a little bit later, have a few shorter poems spaced in. So I've got a few of those ready as well. And hopefully the sort of cliffhanger at the end of that loud screech and what's going to get him won't scare you too much. Yeah, so for now, thank you very much, and I will see you later. And remember, if you like the video, that would be great. If you want to subscribe, it's up to you. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.